Welcome to One Breath Wisdom, the podcast for therapists, healers, and soul-led space holders, ready to lead from wholeness, not burnout. I am Lisa McNett, founder of One Breath Institute and co-creator of the One Breath Method. Each week, I will be sharing trauma-informed insight, somatic tools, and real stories from the healing path, sometimes solo, sometimes with our co-founder, Deborah Dickey, and sometimes with special guests walking this path in their own powerful way. Together, we will explore how healing, embodiment, and presence can transform the way we live, lead, and care for others without losing ourselves. Let's take a breath and begin. Welcome to episode 2 on boundaries. If you've ever been told that you need better boundaries, or you've felt like you need better boundaries, or you just know you feel like you've been absorbing other people's energy, you absorb everyone's energy maybe, and absorb or connect with or feel other people's emotions, this episode is for you. As healers and helpers, especially those who identify as empaths or sensitive, we often think of boundaries as walls. But true boundaries are not about disconnection. They are simply about clarity. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about staying connected to yourself, even when you are with others. Empaths are said to feel what others are feeling at a deep emotional level, sometimes to the point of absorbing or taking on the feelings themselves. An empath can experience these feelings as really intense and feeling the emotions even as if they are their own. Now, everyone has the capacity for empathy. It is one of the greatest gifts that we have. It is one of the reasons that we have continued to survive as a species. Those who lack empathy are sociopaths, narcissists. People who truly do not connect with empathy have a lack of care and a lack of feeling for other. Empathy is a gift. However, there is a degree to which being empathic and highly sensitive it doesn't feel like a gift at all. So we're going to dive into this because in real life, most people who became empaths, this was not by choice, but it was by survival. It is a learned skill that is rooted in life experiences, particularly in our early life experiences. So as a baby's nervous system is scanning for cues. The first year of a baby's life, the baby is dependent 100% on other for survival. And so it starts from that age of the baby. If the adults around are dysregulated or unavailable or unpredictable, we start to learn that I have to feel everything around me in order to stay safe. I have to know how my mother is feeling, or I have to know how my father is feeling. I have to know how others are feeling. And from that place, I then need to adjust myself in some way so that I can, to the best of my ability, hopefully get my needs met or just stay safe. And what happens is that we carry this into adulthood and into our healing work. We are tuned in, hyper aware, and often over responsible for other people, over responsible for everyone, for everything. Whew, I just need to shake that off a little bit. Empathy is beautiful. It is beautiful. But without boundaries, empathy turns into enmeshment. We feel others' emotions as if they're our own. We think we're helping, but really we are abandoning ourselves. You are not responsible for how others feel. You are responsible for how you show up. Boundaries are not just what we say, they are what we signal. So 80%, and some will say up to in the 90%. And I don't have those numbers in front of me right now, but it's something that we teach in the One Breath method. Is that yeah, it is a very high. I'm going to just go with that 80% right now. Percent of communication is nonverbal. So sometimes, even when we are trying to express verbally a boundary, energetically, we are saying that we do not have that boundary, or we are not holding or maintaining that boundary. So, boundaries are not just what we say, they're what we are emitting through our nervous system, through our energy body. They're what we're doing. They're the way that we are being, they're the way that we are engaging with the world. And so I want to introduce the concept of being up and down. When I am vertical, I allow energy to move through me. I'm not holding, bracing, or taking anything in. I'm not bound to anyone's emotions, thoughts, or projections. And from that place, I can care without taking on, without carrying, to use Debbie's language. You don't have to be closed off to be protected. You just have to stay rooted in your body. This in itself, I'm going to introduce a practice that we'll practice it together, and you can start to implement it in your life and in your work. But I first want to come back to the concept of being so tuned in and so connected to others and feeling everything. And when I'm saying that, I'm thinking about, like, if you are like this, you often are 2 to 5 to 10 steps ahead at all times, right? You are in your mind, you already have an idea of what somebody is needing, you have an idea of what they might be about to do or what they're about to say. You might have already given them a blanket because you know that they're cold, even though they haven't said anything. So there are so many ways that we are unconsciously acting upon the information that we are receiving, the information that you are receiving as that empath, without even using words, without even checking in, without even giving the other person the opportunity to voice their needs, to voice their wants. And so just bringing in that part as well. When we are always coming from a place of reacting quickly to what we perceive another person to be feeling or thinking or wanting or needing, we are taking away we are taking something away from them. We're taking something away from them. We are not allowing them the opportunity to speak and to do and to tend to themselves, or to ask for what they need. So that's one thing. And then the part about self-abandonment. So if this has and a way to know if this has started happening to you, if you started becoming empathic when you were very young, a few things that you can check in about are: did you ever feel like you had to walk on eggshells in your home? Did you ever feel like you had to hide your anything from hide yourself as your person, or hide something that you may have done or that you may be thinking from a parent or a caregiver? Were you ever yelled at? Was there a lot of noise, loud talking? Did you get in trouble a lot when you were young? Were there a lot of expectations voiced on you? Were you in a home where people were just emotionally unavailable or emotionally shut down and you had to tend to yourself? All of these things, all of these ways. Was your caregiver depressed? I mean, that's not their fault. Not their fault to be depressed or to be, yeah, in some ways, if they were having any, we can have the most, we can, it's a point I want to bring in is that it's not always just intentional abuse or people who are abusive that lead to this situation, but it's just if somebody is emotionally unavailable or unavailable for other reasons, they can be very well meaning, but this still happened. You still became overly empathic. So I'm going to tie this in with what I mentioned in the last podcast, which you can go back and listen to that if you'd like, on how from the time we were young, we've had to shut down our own needs, right? Because we were told when we can eat, when we can sleep, when we can go to the bathroom, all of those things. So we disconnect from ourselves, we disconnect and we shut down our own needs, our own feelings, while at the same time getting really good at reaching these like energetic nervous system tendrils out to scan our environment so that we are aware of how other people are feeling, other people's emotions, other people's needs. And so this just creates such a soup for the empathic healer to become overwhelmed, to feel as if they are being taken advantage of, to lack boundaries. So, coming back to that idea, sometimes we think that boundaries are walls. It's this firm line in the grass that or the sand that we're going to draw that nobody can come across, and that doesn't feel good most of the time. Boundaries are they are an awareness of where something begins and where something ends. Where something begins and where something ends. And so where do you begin and where do you end? And what that you are carrying is yours and yours to carry, and what is not yours to carry. And so I'm bringing in this concept of being vertical so that when something comes in, whether I'm feeling other people's emotion or there's words or whatever it is, I'm not just letting it stop inside me. I can become a hollow bone and I can move that up and down and through me. But first, I also need to have the capacity to, maybe not first, but we want to develop both. We want to develop the capacity to allow things to come in and move through. And we also need to develop the capacity to connect with my felt sense. And we'll talk more about the felt sense, but the sensations in my body, my emotions, what's here, what's present for me, so that when I then connect with another person, and something shifts and changes within me, I have a better idea of what's happening. I have a better idea of what's mine and what's theirs. So I think I'll probably come back for another episode on boundaries because it's such a big topic. But let's practice the hollow bone. Let's practice being vertical and neutral and grounded. I'm going to invite you to sit down and close your eyes if that feels safe. And if not, I want you to just take a soft glance towards the tip of your nose or towards the floor. And I want you to place your feet flat on the floor. Place your feet flat on the floor so that you can feel the physical connection that your feet are making with the floor. And let's take a breath. Feel your toes connect with the floor. Notice if the weight feels distributed the same evenly between the 2 feet. Is there any pressure that you are making from your feet to the ground, or are they just softly resting? Notice all of these things. And then just let your hands rest gently anywhere on the body. I have mine, my palms are on my legs. But you can place your hands wherever it feels comfortable and appropriate. And take a few soft, gentle breaths. Now imagine, and you can imagine however it works for you, visual or just imagine, use your imagination, but imagine that you are a hollow bone or a pillar of light. A hollow bone would be an open channel. We could consider a pillar of light also just an open channel, moving up and down. And you are grounded into the earth. And maybe at a few breaths, you can let the feet energetically sink in just a little more deeply. And imagine that with the breath, you are breathing up from the earth, from maybe the center of the earth into the body. And let the breath move through the body. And through the crown of the head, through the top of the head, imagine that you can open up to the sky. And imagine that you could also bring breath down from the sky through the crown of the head, or light, breath, light, however you want to imagine this. But moving with the breath, let that breath come through the crown of the head and through the entire body. Anything that comes in moves through. You don't hold it. You don't fix it. You stay vertical. Let breath, let energy rise through your feet, through your center, and out the top of your head. Let breath, let healing energy come down through your crown and move through your body, all the way through the body, and into the earth. You are not stuck. You are not blocked. You are open and rooted, grounded. And you can continue to allow the breath, the energy to move up and down through the body, taking with it anything that is no longer serving you or that does not belong to you. We'll stay here for a few more breaths. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, just gazing softly around the room, noticing your surroundings, noticing how things feel a little different after that brief practice. Maybe things look different. Everything you feel is not yours to hold. So much of what we carry comes from unconscious commitments. Saying yes to things that we never consciously agreed to. Saying yes to hold things, to carry things that are not yours. You get to change that. You get to use your voice when needed. You get to use body language and your energy and energetically signal when you are not available. And no is a complete sentence that does not need to be followed by an explanation or hold any guilt. Trust that your neutrality does not mean you don't care. It means that you are allowing others their power. And when something hits you hard, ask, is this mine? Or get really curious about what it is triggering, what it is bringing up inside of you, what it is signaling that is there for you to look at, work with, or just let go. You have permission to just let things move through. Or if it's touching some part of you that requires healing, it's an invitation. That is your healing invitation. But you are not here to hold it all. You are here to hold yourself and to model what healthy presence looks and feels like. You can hold space for others, but in that holding space, you also exist. You get to discover healthy presence. So as you walk through your day, remember, you don't need to cut yourself off from the world to stay safe, but you do need to stay connected to yourself. That's a big part of what boundaries are. It's the doorway to learning boundaries, is being connected to yourself and starting to operate from a place where you are honoring. In the last episode, I talked about filling your cup until it's overflowing. That ties in a little bit here, but honoring your needs, yourself. And when you do that, you don't say yes to everything. You are not taking on responsibility for things that are not yours. And that's okay. That's not only okay, that is necessary. Again, when we are taking on others' experiences and feeling responsible for, we are disempowering them, and that is not what you want to do. I know. So boundaries really are learning to better engage and interact with and read and feel the world in a way that you're able to recognize and identify where things end and where things begin without losing yourself and taking on too much of other. So if this episode spoke to you, I would love to hear. And let me know what other questions you have about boundaries, because we'll definitely be back to explore this more. Thank you for listening to One Breath Wisdom. If something in today's episode spoke to you, I would love to know it. Send me a message on Instagram at One Breath Institute or at Lisa McNett, and please share the episode with someone else who needs to hear it. Remember, you are not here to carry it all. You are here to come home to yourself, one breath at a time. Until next time, take a breath and be well.